Hello Jeeple, it's Greendot 319. How are we doing today, guys? First thing, I am no longer allowed to say guys, alright? I've been told on the channel that it's people are getting annoyed by it. So if I say guys again, you guys can... First things first, on the side here, this is where we had the repair, okay? So this has turned out pretty nice, actually. You can't really see it. It went from looking like this when I got it to this, to being repaired, and then now we're like this. So I think that's pretty good, really, for a big crack repair. You know, the engine was pretty much junk until that was done, so that's worked out nicely. But the problem I've got is inside, you should be able to see in the bottom there, can you see some marking? Okay, right. So when I first saw that, I was like, damn, you know, that's the end of it. It's blooming, it needs sleeving. After all that work, the blooming thing needs sleeving, okay. But having looked at it a little bit further, I was worried that obviously this rust was on the inside and it was working its way from the water jacket into the cylinder, but I'm thinking that it's actually just a little bit of pitting from the inside of the cylinder outwards, okay. So what I did is I got a needle and poked it, and the needle wouldn't go through, okay, so that's good. So if it was coming from this side and it was completely rusted through, this should be paper thin surely, right? So if you poke it, you should be able to put your finger through it. Yeah, I actually had a dream that I did put my finger straight through the cylinder liner, so that's how bad it's got. But so I couldn't stick anything through there, so that means it's not paper thin there. The other thing is I went round it and I tapped it with a, you know, a little pick, and if it was all rusty here, it should make a different sound when you hit it, you know, it'll be ting, 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 and then when you hit it, it should make a dull noise, but it didn't, so that sounds fine. And the other thing was, as well, which is sort of adding to my hope that it's actually all okay, is that when this crack repair was done on the side here, the water jacket was pressure tested, okay? So if it's been pressure tested, if it was thin and starting to rust through there because it was damaged inside and completely rusted through, that bit should have blown out really, and it should have leaked out of there, which it didn't do. So really, I'm thinking it's just pitting from the inside. So if you think about it, the piston runs here and the piston sits where the rings are, it runs up here. This is just the skirt down here where the piston sits, so it doesn't actually, it's not really in the combustion chamber, that portion. So when it runs, you know, there's 125 psi where at the top of the piston, but at the bottom there's only the 3 psi or whatever it is in the cooling jacket, the pressure from the water trying to push out. So it's not going to be in a high pressure area. So I just think that's just a bit of pitting from where the crankcase, you know, you've stopped the Jeep, water condenses on the shiny cylinders inside, and it's just pitted there and it's got a bit nasty. But that's what I'm hoping, everybody, you know. Let me know what you think about that as well, because otherwise, if it is rusted from the inside and rusting its way out, then obviously that's that's really bad. That's going to be very expensive. So talking of things that are expensive then, how much did this all cost? So let's look at the headline figure then. Yeah, that's in UK pounds, okay, so that is not cheap, but a lot of this doesn't really need to be done if you're actually going to do your engine normally, okay. So let's run through it then. So clean off face and crack test, yeah, you got to do that, 58 quid. Crack testing, I suppose that's all right. Check bores, that was included with that. Clean up tappet holes, check cam housing, so they went through, they measured everything properly and made sure it was all within tolerance and usable, so that's not bad for 30 quid. Remove 2 broken bolts and repair, so £60 for that, that's quite a lot. I could have done that myself, so I could have saved that. Remove oil gallery plug, there was one stuck in which I couldn't get out, £30. Again, that's fairly, it's not particularly cheap, is it, that? You could do that yourself. Fit customers' guides and ream to suit valves, lap valves, 11440. So that's actually not bad for all that work. So some of this work so far you don't have to, you know, you wouldn't have to do or get them to do. But this one for 114 you do need to have done, and that's not bad at all. Fit inserts, that's part of it, so that's all included. Bore block to suit pistons, 128, that's not bad, is it, really? Grind seats, £37.20, that's still good. Skim block face, 67 quid, not bad. And then here comes the crank stuff. So the first crank, that was one which we didn't use, £72.50, so forget that. Regrind crank number 2, so the whole regrinding process for this guy here, yeah, I use guy there as in a term, as in something, okay, that wasn't guys. Regrind crank number 2, 155, not bad. Fit new dowels to flywheel, okay, so on the back here, you might not have to do this. I had these newer style dowels put in there, okay, so that was a bit of work that I had done, and they had to match the flywheel to suit it as well, so that's quite a bit of work. So you may not have to have that done, so that's 116, that's not bad. Reface head, yeah, 67, not bad. Balance crank assembly, £90. You probably you might not want to get that done. I had it done. I think it'll make the engine run better in the long term, and it's, you know, you do it with most new engines these days, so I've done it with this one, so you may not have to do that, so don't worry about that one as well. And then something you possibly would have to have some cracks repaired on your engine, laser weld block, including collection and delivery, okay? So they went down to Hampshire for that, which is a fair bit. So let's say maybe that's 310 if you knock off the delivery, so 310 for the laser weld block. So that's not bad. That's £100 each of those little cracks. So not too bad at all. But there's the figure, 1,680.12. So you could knock that down a fair amount if you remove some of the work that I had done. So I don't think that's too bad, really. I mean, it's not cheap, but also it's not the end of the world, is it? So the things which were important weren't too bad. And then the other little bits, the smaller bits, which I suppose take up time, like removing an oil gallery plug for £30. You know, you could do that yourself and you don't have to pay them, so that adds up the cost quite a bit there. So what's next then? Well, hopefully by the time I do the next video, we'll be able to get hold of the last bits that we need to build the engine, so I can actually move on to assembling the engine, finishing off cleaning it out, getting it inside and actually assembling it, which is going to be really cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. And with those bits coming from the transmission as well, we can assemble the transmission and get all that fitted as well, which means we can then put the body tub on there and start wiring it all up and fitting it all in. So things are really going to start moving along now. It's we've got the last bits of the puzzle coming together. The only thing holding it up is time and money, really. So I'm going to work on those two and we'll try and see how we get on with it. But otherwise, that's it for us. So I hope you all enjoyed that. If you're not subscribed, if you want me to stop saying guys, subscribe and I will stop saying it. But if you like this, like and subscribe, turn on notifications as usual, and we'll see you next time. And enjoy jeeping. Cheers.